Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. This week we're in Harrison, Montana with Nikki Edmundson of Canty Boots. Nikki's sharing how a custom pair of boots she made for herself turned into an international business. She talks about the importance of trademarking, working hard to get into the right stores and trade shows, and the challenges of finding help. So here we go with Nikki Edmundson. All right. Well, we're here in Harrison, Montana with Nikki Edmundson of Canty Boots. Nikki,
hello.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. This is great.
Well, tell us a little bit about you. Are you from this area originally?
I'm originally from Butte, so 50 miles from here. Born and raised, and basically came out this way because I met a cowboy in college. So I knew that we were destined for rural Montana, but Harrison is where he's always wanted, to come back to. So that's why we're here.
When did this idea for Canty Boots come into the picture?
It's almost been 9 years since I cut my first boot. And basically I picked up a pair of antique, old vintage eel skin boots from an antique store, and I was wearing them. They were great, but they were just rubbing all the time in the calf. And I took them into a boot stretcher, and they said, eel skin won't stretch. It'll just tear. And basically I was out of luck. So I cut them and rolled them down and decorated them terribly, I will admit, but terribly. But I wore them into town, and everybody was so intrigued by them, men and women. Oh, what are those boots? Everybody was asking, and I just felt like, as women, you get complimented on an item, once, but when it's multiple, and especially if it's something you've made, it was just kind of a light bulb moment I think I could sell these.
Yeah.
So
how did you come up with the name? I'm curious.
So Canty, again, I have to turn to my husband for that. When I was making the boots, I had opened an Etsy store, and Etsy prompted me to name my storefront. So you can't just sell something. They want you to have a name of your business on Etsy. And I didn't have a name. I had been making the boots without a name. And I asked my husband, Tucker, what should I name them? And I was coming up with all the cheesy things like reboot and I mean, just funny, kind of the obvious things. And he's like, look up the word Canty. And it's an adjective that means lively, upbeat, and in good spirit. So as soon as I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And it just stuck. And now, it went from Canty Boots to Canties.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. So people started recognizing them. You decided maybe this is a thing. How did you build your business?
Right in the beginning, the first step that I took actually was protecting the name. So I trademarked the name, and it was actually before I trademarked anything else, I went that route, and it was very smart because right away I had a big shoe company try to use the name, and it was really scary, being so small. I had only made a couple $1,000s at this point, and I thought, oh, this is so scary. I'm going after a company owned by Warren Buffett. But it was fine. I mean, I had done all the paperwork, everything was legit. And so it ended up kind of proving to me that this process really does work. And we were able to, fight them and win. And then right after that, I started trademarking my designs. And so I think that those were really important foundations in the business, because when you're starting to create something that's artistically, or the design is so different, it's going to catch on at some point. Sure. It's going to catch on. And I knew it would. I think I've just been really lucky to have had so much time from when I protected it to I really didn't have anything. There was really no competition for a long time. So I was able to really gain some momentum. But everything in between, it was just getting into stores and working hard to get into good trade shows and, obviously advertising and promoting the boots. But I think the foundation of good business moves was the legal stuff.
That's great advice. So was your initial strategy that you were going to do wholesale and have other stores sell your boots, or was it custom one-offs?
So yeah, everything was always going to be one of a kind, and I was really, I've always stuck to that, and that's been really important to me. I had like Amazon approach me to do, 10 of each. They wanted me to do a drop down menu, and Amazon's so huge, and of course that was a great opportunity, but it takes away from what I do. I just wasn't interested in that, but I somebody once told me in the beginning, you choose wholesale or you choose retail, but it's really hard to do both. And I have done both. But retail is better for me, and really consignment in stores works too. They are one of a kind. So why, if I can send the boots to a store and do it on consignment, and then there's no risk to the store, we both win. So for me, that's kind of I would say more of what I do.
Yeah. So now that you've established yourself more, what shows do you go to, and where can people find your boots if they're out shopping?
Yeah. The NFR Cowboy Christmas is the number one. That's always in December. It's 2 weeks. I meet so many people. We sell a ton of boots. It's huge for this business. And then everything beyond that is mostly trunk shows. So I'll try to get into a store, and sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'll just say, let me come out there. Let's do a trunk show and let's see if this works. And you just know right away if it's going to work. So I do a lot of trunk shows, throughout the year, but stores that carry my boots right now, Vail, Aspen, and Las Vegas. They're in a store called Kimosabi. So there's the 3 locations, and it's a really high-end Western store. It's beautiful. And they're very big on one-of-a-kind too. So they have all the one-of-a-kind hats, and then, of course, my boots. So it really works there. And then they're in Nashville in a store called Moo Country, which is also in Red Lodge, Montana. They're in a store in LA called Inland. And then a few stores throughout Montana that, local, semi-local to where I am.
Now your boots have been worn by Victoria's Secret angels and a list of celebrities. When was it that things started to reach that level?
100% Kimosabi. So as soon as I was able to get Kimosabi to give me a chance, which it's another story, but basically I tried for 3 years and they were turning me down and, saying, no, not at this time, or, we're not interested. And I just kept hounding them because I knew just by being in their store that it spoke to me, and that I could literally visualize my boots on their shelves. And I just was waiting until the quality of my boots had to grow too. Just everything is an evolution. And if they had taken me in the beginning, this story wouldn't be as successful because the boots just didn't have the quality that they have now. So by the time they were ready for me and I was ready for them, as soon as that happened and the boots were in their stores, it was like Victoria's Secret and Katy Perry and all those things happen because they're in those hot spots, Aspen, Vail, Vegas. They have that. Those people aren't driving through Harrison.
Right.
So it was just, we both win when, they get these great boots. I kind of skim the cream. I send them really beautiful, rare vintage boots. And then these people come in and it's awesome.
That is great. And you have clients now from all over the world. So what does it mean to you to be able to do that from rural Montana?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I've gone on 2 trips out of the country. I went to Australia this year. I went to Dubai last year. And it's crazy to think that making these boots in my garage, because at the time I was in my garage, could lead to, world travel. And yeah, shipping boots. I ship boots internationally all the time. And it's very humbling to write, Australia on the box, or New Zealand, or there's so many countries I sent the boots to that I just think this is crazy. And I still feel the same joy doing it now that I have, every sale, every pair of boots that we pack up, there's so much joy in sending them to that destination.
So tell us a little bit about some of the custom orders that you get just looking through your website. A lot of them have nostalgia attached to them or like a special story. So what have been some of your favorites?
Okay, I'll probably get emotional, but it's really great. So I've had a couple years ago, I had a girl write me, and she had recently lost both her grandma and grandpa, and she was getting married. So she asked if she could send her grandfather's boot tops and her grandmother's belt. And so we took her boot bottoms, her grandpa's boot tops, and then we wrapped them with her grandma's belt. And I believe she also sent me like a little, it was like a pin that we were able to also put onto the belt. And they were so beautiful. They turned out, I mean, they were just so special. But then she also wrote me after the wedding and said that she felt like her grandparents were with her and that she was walking with them. And it was just really special. Like, again, when you're making boots and you're making these, I mean, they're very artistic and beautiful, but when they have that element of special, it makes my whole day. I mean, it's awesome. And then just the other day, I made a pair for a girl whose father passed away. I went to high school with her, and her dad passed away. It was like 8 or 9 years ago, but she saved all of his boots, and she brought 6 pair over. And she said, I just want you to, you create it, you mix and match whatever you feel. And so we took her boot bottoms and we took 3 of her dad's boot tops, and we were able to sew like a part of his boot top onto a strap. And then there was a custom message on the inside that said made especially for, and then her dad's name. And we cut that out, sewed it on. And she's actually coming today to pick them up, but she wrote me and she was very, very emotional. It's those boots would have sat on the shelf for the next 20 years, but now she'll wear them.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, you say on your Instagram a lot, like, send us your boots and we'll make your canties. So what's that process like for someone to send in their boots? And
yeah, so we want people to send us their boots because we know they fit. So my presence is mostly online, and it's really hard to buy boots in general, shoes online. People are very hesitant to do so. So if they send me their boots, it's a given, they fit, and we get the boots. We just want you to put your name, email, phone number inside the boots on paper. We get them, we start a round of design, and we text and send you pictures and say, do you approve of these? If they approve, we invoice. If they don't, we go back to the drawing board and we redesign them again. So there's no surprise. It's definitely like you pay when you love the boots. And it's $150 and plus shipping. And it's about 2-week turnaround.
wow, that's pretty fast, actually. Mm-hmm. So how have you had to expand and grow your business as your popularity has grown?
Well, we spent, 7 years, I was a year or 2 in my house in a room, and then we moved out to the garage, and I was in half the garage, and then I took up the whole garage and kicked my husband out with all of his toys and snowmobiles. And now, as of June, we are in our own building that we built from the ground up, and we have a showroom that's always ready. The boots are always size organized, ready to roll. And then we have the production room that boots come in. We know, they move from shipping and receiving to being cut, to being sewn, to being finished, to being inventoried. And so that's the biggest change, because now we have this great flow, and that's why we can turn boots around faster. Just as the demand has grown, we've had to make these changes. And this was a huge change. It was like, I had to go to the bank and ask, I've never done that. I've never, in all these years of business, it's all been just with what I had. So that was really scary, but also really exciting. And I felt 100% it was right. And it's been amazing so far. So
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Any idea how many boots you've done up to this point?
Thousands. We do about 45 to 50 pairs a week. So about 200 pairs a month. So, we've made thousands of boots. Wow. And that's, not counting, some of the customs. That's mostly like the retail. So it's just in the thousands. I wish I had kept track. It would have been really interesting, but you just don't know until you know.
Yeah.
To do those things.
Where do you find your inspiration to come up with new designs? And
When I travel, I love to go, like, for example, I was just in Aspen and I walked up to the Ralph Lauren store and just gawked in the windows at, the way that he brings in like old vintage throwback materials with denim and does this patchwork. And so now we're working on some patchwork boots and just really on my travels, I love to window shop and then, touch things. And I love antique stores, seeing like old, those Mexican blankets and the Native American, patterns and beadwork. And I'm always trying to like, find somebody to do beading and find somebody to do tooling. And I'm always reaching out and doing collaborations with other artists. And so other artists just definitely inspire me too.
What have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome as your business has grown and you've kind of spread out in different areas?
It's a challenge that I think is just it's always going to be a challenge living in rural Montana. It's really hard to find help, and it's not that there aren't great employable people here, but they're just all employed.
Yeah.
And, I'm 20 minutes from 3 small towns, and then I'm 45 minutes from 2 bigger towns. And I just keep thinking, it would be ideal if I could get somebody right here in this community, but there's 137 people. Yeah. And so, they're all taken and it's just a fact. So I'm constantly like looking for somebody to come out here and work. And right now there's just 2 of us, that are here all the time. And then I have somebody that comes in to sew but that's the most challenging thing, because I know I could easily have 2 more people on deck and I could keep them busy, but I don't just want anybody, Yeah. I want somebody that's like has the same drive as we do and that wants to work hard. And so we're just being patient and kind of waiting for that to happen. But yeah, that's definitely, rural Montana. You have to really, I might have to start headhunting. I might have to go into town and say, what do you make per hour? I'll top it. Let's go. Right?
Yeah.
Like, sorry to other businesses, but that it might come to that.
Any hardworking listener who wants to move to Harrison.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite part of the business?
Oh, the designing. I'm out here, I put my kids to bed at 9:00 and I usually am out here until 1:30 in the morning. And I have to force myself to go to bed. Like, I'm just enjoying it so much. And I always have, that it doesn't feel like work. I don't feel like I'm being punished. It's just designing every pair of boots that comes, every pair is different and you can't duplicate them. So that's so enjoyable as an artist.
How do you feel like your designs have evolved since you started?
In the beginning it was cutting and folding. So I was cutting boots, folding them and, designing them or wrapping stuff around them. And now we're actually cutting boot tops off. We're switching boots. So we'll take like a Lou Casey bottom and we'll sew a Tony Lama top on it. Or, like I was saying about grandma's boots or grandpa's boots. There's a lot of mix and matching, which opens the door to a million more designs. But then on top of that, we've recently started using other materials like, Louis Vuitton bags that I cut up and I'll inlay them into the boot tops, or Pendleton blankets or snakeskin. I've started doing like beaver fur tops. So they're like UGG cowboy boots. They're really cute. But yeah, we're just using, I'm just constantly trying to find other elements to add in to, keep ahead of the game, really, the boot game, because there's so much competition and there's so much mirroring. I don't want to use like the trigger words, but there's a lot of, it's different from being inspired. It's different. So I definitely want to try to stay ahead of that and be the one that's, out in
setting
front.
the trend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How's your family involved in this business?
Well, my husband's a rancher. Him and his dad are, outside right now somewhere with the cows. They're always out with the cows. And then I have my thing that's we're both very supportive of one another, but also I'm a fair weather cowgirl, so I'm a professional gate opener, and after that, I'm not very useful. But and he's definitely not out here making boots, but he's the one that come Vegas time, ready to roll in December, he loads up my trailer, he drives me down there, sets me up, flies home to be with the kids, and does the same thing on the tail end, flies down, packs me up. He's so helpful in that way. He's probably responsible for half the work that went into building this shop. And my kids are still young, and I only have one little girl. She's 6, and she always comes out and tries to, help me make boots, if you will. But for right now, we're just so crazy busy, all doing our own thing. And, we come together for meals, and thank goodness I'm right in my yard. My house is just here. And so I'm definitely present, but it's a wild, wild world out here with 2 businesses and 4 kids.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So how do you balance life as a mom and as a successful business owner?
I've recently decided, sitting down with my husband, and we discussed the things that, I always say something's got to give. I'm up till 2 a.m. some nights. And so we've sat down together and talked about what we can do, or what I don't need to do, or what I have to do in order to make it all work. And one of the things was, housework and cooking. And there's this great family that lives close by that I hired the oldest girl to come over, and on Mondays she does like a 5-hour deep clean of my house. She does all of our laundry, and that's a lot of laundry. I mean, 4 kids, my husband, myself, and she does our laundry, and then she cooks dinner. And it was so good. It was working so well, but it was like, well, what about the other 6 days of the week? So now she just comes over 3 days a week, and she does like a tidy up and a cooking of the dinner. And we're always so excited to come in, and the meal's ready, and it's just worth it. She's $20 an hour, and that's a lot. And I do know that, but it's also, I can't do it all. And I had to accept that. And I absolutely am not ashamed of that. It's real that we only have so many hours in the day. And I would rather come in and enjoy the meal with my family, having it done and ready, than stress about it and be like angry at dinner.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a really huge, huge thing for us. And now I'm just, trying to get to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Baby steps.
Yep.
What has this business done for the community of Harrison? Do you feel like it's kind of helped put it on the map in a way?
It's funny. I'm sure everyone else would say so. The post office I'm the number one postal, I'm the number one in and out for sure. And they've told me that, and that's wonderful, because it's just a one-woman show over there, and they are so helpful and good to me. And yeah, when people come here to shop, or they come here for an event, of course they'll fill up their gas here, and they'll eat here, and they'll, go up to the Pony Bar. And so it's just always going to spread. And what I love is, like Amy that works for me right now, they moved out here, and she was working in Bozeman. She was having to commute every day. She has 3 kids. They're in school, busy. And I was able to hire her, and now she can stay home, and it's just more time spent where your time needs to be spent. So that's another reason why I'm so trying to get somebody or 2 people here, so that we can all, this community will grow, because people don't have to leave because there's no opportunity.
Yeah. What do you love about Harrison and your life here?
It's so beautiful. We're so lucky. That's why we have these huge windows in the front of the shop, so you can see Hollow Top Mountain, and it's just, it's picturesque and quiet, and we're right on the highway. So we do get the traffic, but it's also like very peaceful. And, I love it here because I can stay really busy but stay focused. There's not a lot of distraction. And the school is K through 12. So there's like 70, maybe not even 70 kids. We have great teachers. My kids are in class sizes of like 5 and 7 kids. There's just a lot of investment in the kids in the community. And we would not want to be anywhere else. And fashion in rural Montana it's hard to be a designer and to live in rural Montana. That's just a fact. But the pros of everything else that we have going on here is why we will be here until we die. Like, I'm certain. So
that's great. What's next for you in Canty Boots?
Well, now that I have a store, I'm able to carry other things. And I was always, for 8.5 years, I only sold boots. I sold nothing else. And I was fine with that. It was great. But now that I have a store, it's like all the things that I love, I have control over that. I can curate this place to be the things that I love, things that I've discovered on my travels. And then, people can make this like a destination shopping experience that isn't just boots. And people will come out and drop off their boots, and they'll, try on hats, or they'll buy a purse, that's really exciting to me because I want it to expand to be kind of head to toe. And now, hats, boots, that's head to toe. So it's great. I enjoy it so much. And I love discovering things that I want to put in here.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah.
How do we follow along? And if people want to send in their boots, how do they do that?
So I'm on Instagram at Canty Boots. I'm on Facebook. It's Canty Boots MT, like Montana. And please do follow along because we always post really exciting things or promotions. Obviously the launching of any new products that we carry. And to send in your own boots, on my website, cantyboots.com, you can click on custom and it will give you the steps, like including your info, making sure there's no zippers. I just don't cut zippered boots or lace up boots, but everything else is pretty much a go. And it will walk you through that. And then there's also my address and how to ship and what to expect. So yeah, I really want to make everyone's boots. So
that's great. Well, we'll link to that in the show notes.
Great.
And thanks for being on the podcast. This has been great.
Thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you.
Well, I love Nikki's perseverance as a business owner, from establishing her trademark to pursuing the stores she knew were the right fit for her product. Her new store in Harrison is amazing, and so is the view from her front window. So definitely stop by next time you're in the area. And be sure to check out the show notes to see her designs and to order your custom canties. Thanks to Nikki for being on the podcast, and thanks to you for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Have a great day, everybody.